Hello and welcome to episode, I think it's 18 of the Indie String Podcast. Thank you for joining me. I am Kay, also known as Indie Strings on Ravelry. And so we're going to start off the show today. It's been on a bit of a hiatus, so I'm a little bit rusty, so please forgive me. But we'll talk about later of why I haven't been podcasting. So I wanted to get right off to it. We had a KAL that ended at the end of October. Goodness, 3 months ago. I'm really sorry. And it was a sweater KAL, and it was a giveaway for 2 items. The first item is a set of yarn. It's these right here. It's Viola. I believe it is in this light colorway, and it's 4 skeins of a worsted. And so on the finished object thread in that, it was locked on October 31st at midnight. There were there was 8 entries. So on the random number generator, I have 2 through 9. I don't know if it's going to let it go. There you go. And so we're going to hit generate. And number 9, so a late entry won it. So let's look. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have had this up too. See, this is what's being rusty is getting me. A little bit of wonkiness. So, number 9 is the Heartfelt. Yay! I'm so glad she won. She was a little bit iffy she was going to enter, and so that's great. So she won. So just contact me, give me your name and address, and I'll ship that out to you. And then we did have a second prize for that, which was a $10 pattern on Ravelry. And so I'm going to generate another number, and that number is 5. So let's look at number 5. And I'm sorry if that didn't focus. I'm on a different page. You can't see that at the moment. Oh, and that's Quirk Knit. Oh, she knit this beautiful yellow sweater. I want it. I don't want it enough to knit it, but it's beautiful. If she wants to contact me, whatever pattern is her choice, I will get it out to you, and hopefully it will be something wonderful. Okay, so I'm so glad that I was able to do that. I'm going to reach for my notes a little bit. Oh, sorry. It's been gnawing at me that I haven't gotten that done. But so we haven't podcasted in like 3 months, and so what has been going on? Well, hopefully the volume is much better on this episode than previous ones. I've spent a fair bit of time trying to work out the microphone issues, and I think I have it figured out. And so hopefully that's really good. That took me a few hours. And I did record like another episode, but you couldn't hear me at all. So hopefully this one will be good to go. So what am I working on right now? So I am doing super obligating knitting. I think the next few months will all basically be gifts. So I shouldn't open my big yapper and say that I'm willing to knit for people. But I don't know if you guys remember, but my husband is really good at opening his mouth and saying I'll knit for people. So we have some mutual friends that live in New Zealand, and they are having a baby. And so I'm knitting the Lucille. It's by Courtney Kelly, and that's part of the Fiber Company. And it's this little sweater right here. So I just found out from the body last night, and they're having a baby girl, so it's nice and pink. And this is in Becoming Art Agave Fingering, which is in, I think it's a 70% merino, 20% cashmere, and a 10% nylon, and it is machine washable. And it's so cute. I haven't knit a baby something in a long time, and it's cute. And this is the back. And obviously it hasn't been blocked yet. I still need to do the sleeves. But it was a really good stopping point. So I knit this on a size 2. I wanted it to be a little bit bigger, and I'm just using Addi Lace Fix Circulars. And so there's about 300, almost 400 yards in this skein of yarn, and that's all I have left. So this pattern originally called for full sleeves. I don't really love full sleeves on babies. They stick their hand in their mouth, they dribble down. So I'm just gonna, and I always was, and good thing because I don't have a lot of yarn, is I'm gonna make owl length sleeves, I think. So I'm just going to pick up and do a repeat or two of the lace, and then I'm going to bind off in the garter as all the trim is, and then I should be done. So my husband is seeing the father-to-be in February, so I got to get it done. But this took me about a week. So I'm really happy with it. It was kind of in the middle, getting to be a little bit of a slog. Because it's size 2 needles, man. It's pretty small knitting. So it started to pick up once I got on the body and I got into the lace, and that was a lot of fun. So, and now the end is in sight, and I now get to pick out little buttons. I don't know, little kid stuff. If I'm not like on a rash of it, like I'm not having to knit a lot of it, it is pretty fun. So that's the first thing I'm knitting on. The second thing I'm knitting on is Neon Ski Bonnet, and this is by, I can't see, I will put it in the pop-ups, but it is this. And so this is knit out of Pigeon Roof, just her worsted in the Robin Eggs colorway. And I love this hat. I knit a small because the individual it's for has a small head. I have an average head, and it's tight on me. I can fit it on, but it's tight. So that's the cable detail. And I ripped this cable out three times. And once I started on the 4th time, I was like, if I do not get it this time, there's no hope for this hat. I cannot do it. So it stuck with me, and it wasn't the pattern's fault. It was completely my fault. I kept on misreading the charts. I was under a lot of stress, and I don't do well with more complicated knitting and a lot of stress. Either my life has not a lot of stress and it's complicated knitting, or it's stockinette and my life is stressful. So my stress level at this time was pretty high, so I did not do a very good job on the first 2 runs. This is a free pattern, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the construction of it because it was a different kind of construction for me. I've never knit a hat like this. So this cable panel here, which has a stockinette side in the back, it was knit in a circle. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. I can't remember, but it was knit. Those 2 panels at the same time. And then you picked up along the front and you knit this ski bonnet back. And then you picked up along this edge and you knit this garter ridge or garter tab detail down here. So what I have to do next is I have to do a pom-pom, which I did 1 pom-pom, and I was told that my pom-pom wasn't big enough, so I'm on to the drawing stages of 2 for the pom-pom. And then the long, this calls for long tassels in the front. And so once that's done, it'll be shipped off, but hopefully I can get it done this next week or 2, so it's still cold. It was a good knit. I haven't knit something that was that involved in a while, and it was actually more fun than I predicted it to be. And the end hat is going to be super cute. But I do want the pom-pom to be outrageous because this is for a teenage girl, and who doesn't need a robin's egg pom-pom hat? I mean, really, yeah. I'm going to scooch down and get a drink. I'm sorry. I rearranged this room, and I moved the table. And that's a bit of a falsehood. When I was on vacation, my husband rearranged this room and let people stay in my yard room. It was a little messy, but he moved stuff around, so I'll get it all back in order in a little bit. Then I knit on the Ashby shawl. It is in a wool people, and it is by Leela Arabi. So this is a long-standing knit for me. I have knit this off and on for a while. I really want the finished object, but it's, again, when you're dealing with complicated life, I'm not going to deal with something that takes thought. It just doesn't work for me. I end up messing up and I have to rip back, and it's so frustrating that I don't want my knitting not to be a joy. I don't mind ripping back. But if I'm already at my wit's end with other things in life, then it tends to frustrate me more than it should. So I just know myself. So I knit half of this on vacation. And this is the border, and then you pick up and you're going to knit the center of the shawl after it's done. So I knit most of this, the first side of this triangle, up until about right here, on vacation a year ago. I know, right? A year old. It's way more than a year. It's going to take me forever to finish it. I had started this section right here, the point section. Try to get you a good, there you go. And I had done it wrong. You have to do some turns and some other things in it, and it still doesn't look great, but it's passable. But I probably reknit that section 2 or 3 times. And so now I'm along the way on the other side of the shawl. So I have about 2.5, 3 repeats of that, and then I have to pick up on the center and knit the center panel in. This is knit out of Becoming Art, and I think it's her Bakira worsted, but that actually is a discontinued base for her, and it's in the color Driftwood. I love this base. It's my favorite base that she has, and or ever had, and I'm very sad to see it go. It's just a workhorse wool, but I really, really love it. So I'm really afraid also that I'm not going to have enough yarn, and I can't get any more. So also kind of deterring me a little bit. I got to savor every little stitch on it, because I might be yelling at it in the end. I do really like it, but it's probably going to go back into hiatus because of all the gift knitting I need to do. So the last thing that I'm working on, which I actually just cast on this morning, is a blanket. So I actually do have the pattern for this one here, and it's the Hourglass Throw by Ann Hansen. Sorry, my printer had some difficulties down there. I don't know what it was about, but... and this is out of Madeline Tosh MCN, out of the French Gray colorway. And I have the cast on in 1 row. It's really not impressive. But I am knitting a blanket for a wedding that's in June. And I know I keep on telling myself, goodness gracious, June is so far away, right? But it's a blanket, and it's in June. So I don't know how long this is going to take me. I haven't knit a blanket ever. That's a lie. I knit 1 blanket, but it was super lacy and it went lickety split. So I don't think that really counts. And it was 4 or 5 years ago. So I've knit a blanket at least in a long time. And I feel like if it gets warmer and the blanket gets bigger, it's going to be on my lap and I'm not going to want to knit it. So it would just be better to have it done. And so I'm starting this, and it has quite a bit of cables on it. So it'll keep my mind quite occupied without that shawl. So yay. Well, we at least started it. And I have cute stitch markers. Let's see if I can get one up there to focus for you. Come on, focus. Focus, focus. It's a little sheepy. Oh, you really can't see it. I'm sorry. It's a little sheep, and in its hair, it's got an orange flower. And my mom got me these stitch markers for Christmas. I got knitting stuff for Christmas. I got other stuff too. I'll spread it out a little bit, so we're not so crazy. So finished objects. Yes, I have one finished object for you. I have quite a few other ones, but I gifted them for Christmas. Or I'll just spread a few of them out so it doesn't seem so dry here while I knit a blanket. We know with my sweaters I don't move very fast, so hopefully the blanket I get some steam. But I knit the lacy, I think it's, it looks like Bactus, but I have no idea how to say it, so forgive me. And this is out of Handspun. And the Handspun, the fiber was originally dyed by Western Sky Knits. and it was a superwash merino silk blend. And what I did was I spun it end to end, and then I Navajo applied it. So the braid itself has a lot of different color sections in the beginning, which was really nice. And then at the end of the braid, it went into this nice hot pink. So one end of the shawl is all hot pink, and the other end is multicolored. And I really like it. It looks pretty good. Let's see if I can put it on for you. I really like the ending fiber and the yarn. I used almost all of the yarn that I had, which was really good, even with my my spinning being somewhat uneven because I hadn't spun in so long. But yeah, so I like it. Let's see if I can sit back a little bit. So that'll look really nice. Put on for a little bit. And you know, I really like this pattern. I think it's interesting without being overdone, and it's really hard for me to find stuff that will take my hand spun. A lot of my hand spun is multicolored. Although I am getting into more solid color spinning, you want to mix it up and you want to have fun. You want to see colors when you spin. And so it's hard finding interesting simplistic patterns that won't interfere with the yarn. And I think that's true of a lot of knitting. You know, a lot of dyers dye crazy stuff and you don't really know what to do about it, but usually the more simplistic the pattern, the better it is. But for the knitter, that can be a little hard. This was knit on size 2s, and it did take me quite a bit. I still have the ends to weave in, but I'm not worrying about that. And size 2s are a slog, especially since it was my hand spun and some of it was up to like a sport weight or a light fingering. It varied depending on, you know, the day of the week and my interest level. And so, you know, size sport and the size 2 was hurting my hands, but then I got to the light fingering sections and it looked right. Of course, now that it's all knitted up and it's blocked out, you can't tell, which is, knitting is so forgiving. It's just amazing. And blocking itself is amazing too. I didn't actually use any wires. I just laid it out, stretched it out, and it turned out fabulous. I know it's something that I'll wear quite a bit because I do wear my hand knits all the time. Every day, actually. If you can believe it, every day. Okay. And that moves me, you know, right along to spinning. I'm going to take a drink. All right, so spinning, and I don't know where to put this because I don't have a table. So sorry, it's going on the floor. So spinning has been great. I have been trying to clear my bobbins for Spin the Bin. I do want to try to do that. And the reason why I'm doing Spin the Bin, other than, you know, it's what all the cool kids are doing, right, is that I have a horrific time of deciding when I should spin next. So it's a really funny story. When I first got my spinning wheel, my first one, I was like, oh my God, I'm only going to have like 5 braids of fiber ever. And then if I spin like one of those braids, I can get another one. Anybody who has ever seen my stash or has any idea of my stash should be laughing at themselves because that is crazy talk. My stash is gigantic. My yarn stash is huge. My fiber stash is about half the size, which still is gigantic. So I have a lot of fiber these days and a lot of different fiber. And so I have this horrible time deciding, right? Because I feel like I should plan my spinning and I don't know. And then I feel like I should match that to a pattern and then I should knit it right away. So that's this whole feeling of overwhelming me that goes on and I can't do it. So I'm hoping with Spin the Bin, because what Spin the Bin is, you put in a bin 12 different fibers, and I'm going to sneeze. Oh, it passed. Oh, good. 12 different fibers, and then you need to spin those fibers during the 12 months of the year. And that each fiber needs to be more than 2 ounces. So I picked a lot of bigger braids or multiple braids that I have. I have a thing with buying multiple yarns and multiple braids because I don't want to spin something and then knit something and not have enough. It's like a total fear of mine. So I have a lot of 2 braids. I have 2 braids of almost everything, if not more. So in preparation of that, we have clearing off the bobbins. So the first thing I cleared off the bobbins was this. Let's see if I can get you good. Doesn't look very pretty, does it? Oh, all right. Oh, there we go. So this is Becoming Arts, and it was bats, and it's my first bat I ever spun, so it's a little bit wonky, and I really didn't try to control it too much. It's got sparkle in it and lots of different colors, and I just spun. It turned out to be 120 yards of a heavy, or pretty much an Aran weight to a bulky. And I just, I had 2 bats, so I applied, you know, it's just a 2-ply. I spun them both separately and then I applied them together. I think it will actually knit up pretty nicely. It's super soft. I tried to get some loft into it. I did spin it worsted, but on a slow whirl, slow ratio, so there's not too much twist in it. And it has had a bath, but it did fall straight after I got it off the bobbins. And I actually didn't, I tried not to overply it. A lot of my yarns I like super tight. I like super tight twist. I just like the look much better typically. And I know that I sacrifice some of my loft and softness to compensate for that extra twist. And so I was really trying, you know, to get a yarn that had some great characteristics that I don't have right now, which is some loft and some low twist. So that was good. That was fun to spin from a bat. I don't know how much I'm going to do it, but it was really an interesting thing to do. So, and I did enjoy it. It was just, I think that it was the first time, you know what I mean? It's the first time, and I got a little weary. So this is the second thing I got off my wheel, which is Pigeon Roof Studios, and this is just a merino and silk blend, and I Navajo plied this, and I got about 200 yards of a worsted. So with Pigeon Roof, I love her. I love her stuff. I love her dyeing, and let's see if I can get a good, so you can see the colors. Yeah. So I really, really like it. What she does a lot is she doesn't really have repeats in her dyeing, and they're, I don't want to say splotches. It's not like a very attractive word, but it's almost like short bursts of colors. And so I Navajo ply her fiber quite a bit and try to line it up so it doesn't end up looking muddy. When you have something that has, you know, fiber here, a color here, a color here, a color here, a color here, if you spread those out and then you ply them together and you don't line up those colors, you have a lot of crossing colors, which sometimes can be fantastic. I particularly like it personally when your color runs or a little bit longer, and so you have more of a, your eye has more of a chance to focus on those individual colors when you have your garment actually knit up. If not, from a long ways away or quite a bit of ways, if I have a lot of different colors right next to each other, to the naked eye, they can blend together and sometimes look muddy. So to not do that, I Navajo ply most of her stuff. I am really happy with the finished result. It is really a nice yarn, and I'm excited. I'll knit with it. I don't know what I'll knit with it, but it's super fun, and I like it a lot. Her preparation is always fantastic. She's one of my favorite dyers for fiber and yarn. I got lots of her stuff. I need to knit more of it. That might be a recurring thing coming up. Need to knit more of that. So that's the second thing I got off. And then I started some spinning. I'm sorry, I got out of focus there. And this is one bobbin. Actually, I haven't started the second bobbin yet, but this is Becoming Art, and it's 50% merino and 50% yak. When we go up to spin the bin and I show you some of that, I have some yak silk in there, and I've never spun yak. And it's a very short staple fiber. It's super soft. So nice. Now I know why people like it. It's soft. But I've never spun it before. So I had one, a braid from Blue Moon that was, I think it's called Mad Real. And it's reds and some pink, going to the pink side of things. That's actually a pretty good representation of the color. And I wanted to spin it to see how it goes. So I had an extra big braid that was 7.9 ounces, almost 8 ounces, so almost 2 full braids. I'm going to 2-ply it and spin it together. If I get enough, it'll be a square shawl. But if I don't get enough, then I have no idea. And the last thing that we have to talk about spinning, which is, goodness gracious, this is a lot about spinning, is that I've had my Matchless Cherry wheel for over a year now, and I have not done anything to condition it. And I felt bad about that. And so I went to the woodworking store, which is a comedy of errors in itself. So first of all, I guess that I am not a 50-year-old, 20-pound overweight man, and so I must be an idiot. That's at least how they made me feel. They were on the surface nice, but I was talking to him and I was like, I need to condition wood. That's cherry. I do not want to refinish it. I just need to condition it. I need like a wax or some kind of solution that basically what I want to do is rag it on and wipe it off, and I want it to condition so it doesn't crack and it doesn't warp. So he brings me over to this section, and it's refinishing. And I looked at him and I'm like, I do not want to refinish. And he goes, oh, you know, you don't have to sand. And I'm like, I am not refinishing a piece of wood. I said, I don't need this. And it was a liquid, and you had to do it outside, and you had to have rags. And I'm like, this is not what I want. And he's like, well, you know, it'll clean up those scratches. I'm like, it doesn't have scratches. I just need something to condition the wood. So finally, he brought me over to another section, and he showed me this. Renaissance, and it's just a wax polish. I've tested it on a small part of my wheel, and it's working great. And this is actually used by them, I think it's the Smithsonian, to, hold on, it's on the other side, I can tell you. No, it's used by the British Museum. So this was specially formulated for the British Museum, and to condition their wood and waxes, and it doesn't show fingerprints. So I'm going to do my wheel up in this week or next week. I'm pretty excited about it. And I got a special rag. Goodness gracious, special rag was even expensive. Dear man, he did not think I knew what I was talking about, and we had a rough go there for about 10 minutes. Okay. Oh, I gotta get going. So my enabling this week is I got Nan Cat from Fiber Night Dye Works. And so this is the stripy sock set. This is Nan Cat, and this is navy blue, which is for the heels and toes. And it's on her sparkly base, which is called Bedazzled. And so what happened about a year ago, she had a sign-up list of 100 people to get the Nan Cat colorway, this set, because it was so sought after. And she's slowly been going through and dyeing for those people. She has decided, since the weight on the list is, I was towards the top 40%, maybe 30%. I wasn't near the tippy top, but I was near. I was not halfway. And it took over a year to get this set. I'm not complaining. I'm so happy about it. But because it's been taking her so long to dye it up, she's actually decided to not let anybody else sign up for that set or for that list. She'll still dye this colorway, but it'll only be available in updates or at shows. So good luck. I hope anybody that wants it can get it. I waited a really long time for it, felt like. And so I don't know what I'm going to do for it, but I know I'm going to do something for my daughter. Because, come on, it's a Nan Cat. All right. So we only have a few minutes. I'm going to save the rest of enabling for another time and the spin the bin for another time. I like to try to keep this at about 30 minutes for you guys. And so we're going to do a little rant and rave. So what's been going on? Goodness gracious. It's been quite a whirlwind. I had some challenges in life, I guess. My husband said it was kind of our turn. We haven't had a big challenge in many, many years. We've kind of been riding the wave. So it's kind of time for life to shake us up a bit. It's a really long story full of lots of nasty details that no one needs to know. But suffice to say, a decision had to be made, and so I no longer am working. I am at home right now, and it's for the best. It was a really stressful decision. I was working in a stressful environment that was not good for me or my family, and so, you know, it's kind of back to the drawing board, and I'm good with that. My husband's good with that, and so I'm in a good place. And I hope you can tell that. I'm much happier. It's been a long road to get to this point, I feel like. Really trying. And so I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know anything, and I'm okay with that. I thought I would, part of me, let's be honest, was and is a little scared of that. I don't want not to know. I like having a plan, but not everything in life can be that clean cut. And so we had to do, everybody in this situation had to do what was best for them at that time. And unfortunately, that was me, you know, staying home for some people. And it's working out well, I think, in retrospect, for all parties. So it's a good thing for everybody involved. And what does this mean for the podcast? Well, first, hello, I can totally podcast regularly now. I know. And it also means that I can knit more. And so hopefully that blanket won't take so long. And it means that I can kind of distress a little bit. And so that means more complicated knitting for me and more spinning and some other things that kind of go on the back burner. Like, I'm not a person that can just deal with everything. I don't think anybody is. And anybody who says they can, good luck to you. I really can't. I know my limitations. But every single day that I'm in this new role, this new position in my life, is better and better and better and happier. So I hope all of you can forgive me for the hiatus, but it was really a hard time, harder than I ever thought possible. Say that. And you know, stronger person for it. And in the end, it's gonna look up. Life is gonna get better, and it is better already. So the second thing that I wanted to talk about is, good golly, Miss Molly, Jackie is bright. So my daughter told me that Jackie was too plain, and so we needed to dress her up. So we put lights on her, and I know well, I don't know if you can tell or not, but it also has yarn underneath that she wrapped all around it. It's hand spun because Jackie was cold. That's so cute, so stinking cute. So I'll keep Jackie this way for a little bit, as long as it doesn't interfere with showing you actual knitting. And I hope to see you guys really soon. Have a wonderful week. Be safe and knit with some love. Bye, everyone.